everyone, I'm Nina and today I'm here to share the worst books I read this year in 2020. I have 8 books that I'm going to talk about. One of them I do not physically have, but I'm still going to mention it because it was just the worst. These books are in no particular order, so let's just jump into it. I also want to preface this by saying these aren't necessarily bad books, but some of them are just disappointments because I had higher expectations for them and didn't end up liking them. So they weren't bad, they just weren't my favorites. So the first one is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I had a lot of high hopes for this. My library got it and I was super excited. It was a thick book, but it's written in verse, so it was very easy and quick to read. Now this book deals with 2 young girls, and their father has died, and he has 2 like secret families, and they don't really know about each other. So these sisters discover that they are sisters and that their father wasn't really who they thought he was, and they become closer through his death and dealing with his grief and uncovering his life. So I thought the plot for the story was there. I thought it was good. I just don't know if I necessarily liked the characters as a whole, and I think a main reason why I didn't enjoy reading this, and I might end up giving it a second chance, is because I went through this book, like a good chunk of this book, not realizing that this is told in 2 different perspectives. You get the perspective of both sisters, and so I read this as one person, and it wasn't making sense to me because the one woman, the one girl has a mom and the other one doesn't, or something, I forget, but it wasn't making sense to me. But at the top of each chapter they have highlighted whoever's talking, and I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that there was a difference between the highlighted things. I just kind of glazed over it, and it took me a while to realize that these are 2 different people, and I was very confused, and that's why I mainly did not enjoy the book. I liked that it was written in verse. I liked the plot of the story. I think the characters could have been better, but I think the main reason it's on this list is because of my own fault. Moving on, we have I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Now, I picked this up because it said it was on Netflix, and I liked this font up here of how it's scratched out and then it says that. I liked that. I didn't necessarily like this image. If this was based off cover alone and this wasn't here, I definitely would not pick up this book. But usually I like a lot of Netflix stuff, so I decided to give it a whirl. I'm very confused. This book was very confusing. It made me feel uneasy without knowing why I was uneasy. And I get the book, but like I don't get it. And I know that's really confusing, and I can't really give you a synopsis for this. I just don't understand it. It was kind of like a mystery, weird thriller type thing, but the back also did not give me a synopsis, so I didn't know what this book was about going into it. But here's a quote from the Chicago Tribune that says, "This is the boldest, most original literary thriller to appear in some time." Now, if you're a more like deep reader than I am, maybe this is your cup of tea. I was confused. It made me feel creeped out. I didn't know why I was creeped out. And there was some scenes about farm animals that made me really want to put this book down because I was like grossed out. So I don't know. I think this is like a 2-star book for me. I didn't enjoy it. Then we have one that was really popular this year called Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ning. I don't know if that's how you say it. I should look these names up before I make a video. Really should. Anyway, this was a huge hyped up book. I didn't know what it was about. I thought it was going to be like a little mystery drama in a small neighborhood, but I go into books blind, so I had no idea what this was dealing with, and I knew Netflix made a show. Maybe it's not Netflix, but I knew there was a show for it, so I also wanted to give this another role because of that. So it deals with some like suburban drama between like 2 moms are really the main characters, and then their kids are friends with each other, but they're from different like social classes, and racism kind of comes into this book, and there is a custody battle with a woman who had abandoned her child at a fire station and now wants the child back. and these two main characters are kind of on opposite ends of what they think should happen to the child and who should get the child. And that kind of causes a drift, and some drama goes on, and we uncover secrets from other people's lives, and I thought it was going somewhere. I felt like the ending was such a letdown for me. Like, I don't know, I didn't like that none of those issues were really resolved, and I don't like, what even was her name? I don't remember what her name was. Izzy, I think. I don't like how she was treated at the end of the book. Like, I wanted her to be able to say goodbye to someone that she really cared for, and they kind of just up and ditched. So I was just like, about that. Let's continue on. I have Go Ask Alice, and this is written by Anonymous. Now, this is written as diary entries, which I thought was an interesting take. Now, because this is anonymous, I'm kind of curious as to if this really is fiction, or if this is literally someone's, like, chopped up diary that was kind of published. Anyway, I'm going to feel bad that this is on my worst books. I don't like the way that the writer talked to us. I felt like this person's supposed to be like a 15-year-old girl or something, and I felt like at times she was talking like she was an 80-year-old woman. And so I felt it was like unrealistic that that was the age that we were going for. But also, this deals with a young girl who gets into drugs and becomes a drug addict, and how that affects her life, and her trying to run away from her problems and quitting drugs, and it just not working out for her. I think drug abuse is a huge issue. I think there needs to be more media about it, more information about it, more help for these people. And I feel for these people, but I just didn't like this book. So, moving on, I'm counting this as one book. This is a duology between The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea and Between the Spark and the Burn. Now, I thought these were going to be amazing novels because look at these covers. They are beautiful. They are written by April Genevieve Toklik. I really can't pronounce last names. I apologize. Anyway, this deals with a strange boy that comes into town and seems to have some magical, creepy powers that people seem to think makes him the devil. And it was like a weird thing. I felt like it could have been so much better. It could have been something. I didn't like the way it was executed. I didn't like the way the characters talked, or treated each other. I don't know. This was weird. I didn't like it, so. Also on my list is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is a newer book from him. I read The Man Called Ove, and I loved that story. I thought it was such a sweet story, so I had high hopes for this book because I liked that book so much, and because this cover to me felt very relatable, and the title felt very relatable. So I thought this was going to be about like a couple that was anxious about meeting and all the issues in their life and how they came together. That is not at all what this is about. Not at all. So this deals with a bank robber and a tough situation that this bank robber gets into to actually commit this crime. The bank robber ends up not being able to rob this bank, runs into the apartment next door where they are having an apartment viewing, and holds all these people hostages. And you get backgrounds of the detectives trying to find this bank robber, of the hostages themselves, and the bank robber. So we get all those different perspectives and delve into their backgrounds and learn more about those characters. But I felt like all the characters were really unlikable and weird, and I didn't like how it played out. I was confused. I felt annoyed, and I kept thinking, this is gonna get better, this is gonna get better. It didn't get better for me. I think that may have been the author's intent, was to make you kind of feel irritated about these hostages and how they're not giving straight answers and how they're avoiding the situation. But I just didn't like them, and I was really annoyed, and I didn't want to continue with this book. I did finish it, but I didn't like it. The last book I'm going to talk about I don't physically have, and it's called How We Fall, if I remember correctly, and I don't even remember the author's name. This book was trash, and I believe I made a whole video talking about why it's trash, so you can check that out if you just scroll through some of my past videos. This book deals with two cousins, the teenage cousins, and their families live together. And they have a romantic relationship. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. And the girl feels like this is wrong. They are cousins. They should not be dating. So she kind of wants to keep it a secret from her family and friends and doesn't want to tell people, hey, I'm dating my cousin, because that's wrong. And the boy is just like, you don't love me because you don't want to tell people about us. So they kind of like break up. But even during this breakup, he's like seeing this other chick and is like gaslighting the fuck out of his cousin. And it's like really annoying. I didn't like it. I felt like the boy was just absolute trash, was gaslighting her, was manipulative, was just plain shit. And I felt like the girl was, you know, confused and scared and was treated badly. And I felt like she needed to stand up for herself more. She needed to tell this boy he ain't shit. And but I felt for her because I understood. But the whole plot itself, cousins dating, and we're supposed to root for that. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy the characters. I didn't enjoy the plot. And I felt like the parents were oblivious and really fucking stupid. So that's all I have to say on that. So these were my worst books that I read in 2020. Let me know what you read down below. What were your favorites? What were your worst? What did you think of the books that I read? Do you disagree with me? I'm sure some of you disagree with me on several of these books, possibly this one. Let me know, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.